Hi Weeks, this is my new video. So in this video, we are going to talk about the difference between class components and functional components, and the key points one should remember while developing the components. This is important because many videos will just say the some basic methods and components, and they just explain some very basic things. So there are key points one should remember while implementing it. So we see those. Let's see those key points along with actual code. Okay. Let's start with the differences. So the first difference will be, as you are seeing the screen. So when it comes to cost component, it can be used as both presentational and stateful component. But in case of functional components, it depends on the React version, because before 16.8, okay, we used to say like functional components can only be used as presentational components. It can't maintain this state. But from 16.8, React introduced hooks. So using hooks, we can maintain a state. Okay, so this is the first difference. Okay, and let's go to the lifecycle methods and what differences we have when it comes to lifecycle methods along with actual examples. So I just opened some React application so that I can explain it a better way. So first thing is component did mount. Okay, this hook is something which is getting called once a component mounts. Okay, so this can be achieved, okay, in functional component using a hook called use effect. Okay, so this is my dashboard component. Okay, so in this dashboard component, okay, I have these two components. Okay, the first one which you are seeing is a parent component, which I am highlighting now, and the second parent component you are seeing is a functional component, so that you guys can understand better. And I just created these hooks and the component did mount life cycles here. So I am going to just open the console and just refresh it. As you see, class component did mount and functional component did mount. So these are basically texts from these components. So you see this life cycle is getting executed once this component getting mounted, and same as here. Okay, which you see it here in the chart. So this is pretty simple. Component did mount can be achieved using this hook. And let's go to this component did update lifecycle method. Okay, so basically it takes three parameters. First one is previous props and previous state, and there is a third argument. So that third argument value will be coming from lifecycle method called get snapshot before update. So let's see about that later. So now basically there are previous props or previous state arguments, okay, which are ready-madely available to the lifecycle methods. Okay, so but in case of functional components, this is a little tricky there. So these previous prop, previous states are not ready-madely available to you. And even component to achieve the component did update, you need to do some little tricky thing there. Okay, let's see what it is. So here we use again the use effect hook to achieve the thing. So but we should take off user of hook as well to achieve this one. So it's pretty simple. As you see in this chart, we are using some flag. Okay, so for the first time we are just returning from there and setting the flag false. Okay, so that use effect function is returned for the first time without executing this block. Okay, this block is not getting executed for the first time, and when the component updates, it just checks the this value, and so for the second time, so it will be false. So this block won't execute, and obviously this will get executed. Okay, you should write did update logic in this part, which I showed in the chart. So use effect is something that is getting called for the initial mount as well as update. So to achieve component did update, we used to write such kind of thing in our projects. Okay, and this is one should achieve this component did update logic here. But next question is how to access previous name and previous address, because unlike class components, here we do not get those ready-made props. Okay, so for that one we have to just create your own small hook. Hooks are nothing but a function, so I just created it. So this use previous hook just and created it to access the previous prop. So what it does is, so whenever we use for the initial mount, okay, parent fc execute this hooks. So it comes here for the 10th line, so it just initializes it, but again it just calls this use effect. Okay, but as you see, this value we are assigning it within the callback. Okay, so this will be executed after the return statement. Okay, so for the first mount, this ref parent will be null. Okay, for the first mount, obviously we are accessing the previous value. For the first mount, any value will be null. So now it has returned null. Okay, and it has initialized to the first value that it gets. Okay, first value will be this one. Okay, initially when it component mounted, the value which we get when we use previous is null. So after the component updates, okay, we get the first parameter, okay, that was passed to this component. So let's see, I just consoling these values. Okay, so I'm just calling that hook twice here. Okay, so let's refresh it so that you can understand it correctly. So here I'm just consoling this. So return first will be undefined for the first time. Okay, and I just consoling these two as well. As you see, the return statement is something that is executed first. Okay, and the callback code is something which is executed next, and obviously because of JavaScript. And so here for the first time we get a value undefined. Obviously we should get undefined because it is for the first mount. So when we update, okay, we get the new value because we are returning first and then we are assigning the value. Okay, so I just updated. So I click the dashboard update button which you are seeing in the screen. So I got these consoles. So here, as you see, return first is Girish, okay, which is the value which we need, because on dashboard update I updated. As you see, this is my logic to update. I just setting the new name here, and so it is returning me the word value which is Girish. Okay, so let's check here. Okay, let's delete these consoles and let's see this code is working or not. So yeah, I think I already consoled the prop name as you see here. Okay, so for the first time obviously it is Girish. Okay, oh sorry, this is the name. I have to print previous name dot okay, it's just a previous name. So let me refresh it. Okay, so for the first time it is undefined. Obviously we are accessing the previous name. For the first mount it is undefined. Okay, so let me clear the console and I click dashboard update. Here see, I get Girish. Okay, this is the previous prop, guys, because when I click the button update, okay, I am setting it to a new value. The initial value was Girish. Okay, for the first mount I got undefined because it is meant for accessing the previous prop. for the first time, prop to the component is name, but the previous name is undefined for the first mount, and for the second mount, previous name will be Girish and the new prop will be Kulkarni. So let me print that as well so that you guys understand well. Current name, which is props.name. Okay, so I just refresh it. So current name is Girish for the first mount and the previous name is undefined. Okay, and if I just click dashboard update, see the name will be Girish and the current name is the latest value. So hope you understood. Main thing is, okay, here this function returns the ref current before executing this block. Okay, and it initializes to that value after returning it. Okay, that's the key thing here. So hope you understand this component data update. Of course, we have to do some little tricky things here to achieve that. Let's go to the next lifecycle method. Let's open it. Okay, I have made some small images so that you guys. So next lifecycle method is get derived state from props. Okay, this one is used when we want to update a state when the prop changes. Okay, if you want to observe the prop changes and update the state, okay, so we have to use this lifecycle method. So it is pretty simple. I'm not going to write all this code in the functional components and state components. Just written this sort of code. So this is something which is getting called during the initial render and even after component updates. So okay, so it just receives the next props. Okay, so since we have to observe for the prop changes, okay, it just receives the next prop and you can do your own logic within this block since we have access to next props and previous state. Okay, and so it's pretty straightforward. And here in functional component, okay, since we want to observe the prop changes, we easily get the next props, and we can use that props to change the state. It is present as you see clearly in the chart. Okay, when the prop changes, functional component is getting called. Okay, here I just named it as a next prop because these are the latest props we get, and we can just compare with the state and set the state again. Okay, please be sure when you are using these methods so that component would go under infinite loop. Just make sure you are writing a valid logic within these blocks. Okay, get derived state from props is something a replacement to a component will receive props. Okay, that lifecycle method used to call only after the update. Okay, not during initial render, but here in class component, get derived state from props will be called during initial render as well as on update. Okay, let's see the next life cycle methods. Here these are the life cycle methods for which we won't have any equivalent hook. Okay, and even it is very difficult to achieve these things using some logic in functional components. Okay, get snapshot before update, component did catch, and get derived state from error. Okay, and get snapshot, these are get snapshot before update is a little less used. Okay, and this is something which we use. Okay, when we want to capture something before actually the DOM is mounted with the actual latest updates. Okay, component updates, and it will be mounted to the DOM, right? So during that phase, this lifecycle method will be called. Okay, so whatever you return it here will be passed as a third argument to component did update. Okay, so here we get this return value. Okay, and upon snap short before update 12. Okay, so basically this return value will be available here. Okay, this is basically used, okay, when we want to capture small positions, and frankly I didn't use this life cycle method in my project. So and let's go to the next two life cycle methods. So I'm going to quickly explain with example component did catch and get derived state from error. Okay, so here these methods are very useful during error capturing and sending those errors to APIs. So there is something called error boundary component one should create during their project. Okay, this is must and should for error handling. So here these two life cycles are very useful. So as you see, this is my component. Okay, and just going to use this component. Okay, what this component just takes is it just takes the child component, so and it captures that. Okay, we have to just make sure like the components are rendered within this error boundary. Okay, so I'm going to just use that so that you can understand it well. Okay, we have written error boundary and we are written the parent FC here. So let's write something fishy. Okay, what could be written? So let's return some object. Okay, let's hope it throws error. Okay, yeah. So now we have this class component, as you can see. So I'm consoling these two derived state from error. So derived state from error is something which you see it here. Okay, and did catch error. Okay, as you see, this is label which I'm highlighting is present here. So this is so pretty straightforward. So whenever the child component throws error, it just captures the error. Okay, here now you can just use some service to send these errors to your API so that it can be logged and maintained. Okay, hope you understood. So these lifecycle methods are useful for handling errors, and there should be some error component to handle these things. Okay, so let's remove this. Okay, let's load it so that we are error free. The next differences will be these are the general differences. Okay, so in class components we end up writing more lines of code when compared to functional components, a little more, not too much. So and the next will be we may not get performance boost in future versions of React, and it is stated in the official documentation of the React that we might get performance boost for functional components. And I personally recommend you guys to use functional components because they are the latest and we have to use the latest as a developer. Okay, let's see again these last two differences. Okay, again these two are differences for lifecycle methods. Okay, one is component will and more. Okay, this can be achieved using again use effect hook, and but it has to just return a function. Okay, the use effect hook should return a function. So I'm quickly show to you. Okay, so this is a use effect hook and this is my return function, and in case of class component I just have the component will and mode. Okay, so I'm just remounting these two components by changing the key value here. So whenever we change the key value, React remounts. Okay, I'm going to tell about this okay at a later point of time. Okay, the importance of key, and one should remember some basic key points while developing the React component. So So basically, now I just click this remount components button, which will change the key. And as you can see, from functional component we got this label, and from the class component we got this label. So this is pretty straightforward. Okay, let's go to this should component update. Okay, this component is something similar to pure function. Okay, if you want to write your own logic which decides whether component should re-render or not, okay, then only you should use the should component update. So most of the time we use a pure component only. So it depends again. If you want to write your own logic, just do should component update. Okay, I'm not going to show it in a code because these were pretty straightforward. And in case of functional component, we just use memo. So what you have seen in this functional component, we just use memo. It will try to prevent no re-rendering if the prop values do not change. Okay, that's it. So now we went through the difference between class component life cycle methods and the functional component life cycle methods, and some general differences. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to explain is there are 8 key points. Okay, the most of the developers at the beginning will make mistakes in these things. So I have made some 7 points. Okay, I'm going to explain with code. Okay, in my next video, please do watch it. It is very important.